Greetings and salutations, friends of Goochland. On my way back from Goochland, the town, I stopped in Tucker Park just to enjoy the trees and the green and the weather. It's warm. It's not summertime warm yet, though. In today's video, I'm going to talk about use standards, zoning ordinance amendments, zoning, data centers a little, not too much, and other things. I'm going to end up with a discussion of one of the community engagement meetings. So stick around for that. You can hear a little bit about community engagement. After that little walkabout in Tucker Park, I thought I'd come back and discuss some zoning things and how we get to zoning decisions and the fact that we even need to have zones. It all starts off with a comprehensive plan. And every few years, the Goochland Board of Supervisors, the staff, comes up with a comprehensive plan and presents it to the Board of Supervisors, and it's supposed to be updated periodically because it isn't just a plan, it's a guideline, and I'll show you this in a better graphic, but that's the comprehensive plan was done, the majority of it was done in 2015, and it's for 20 years, so it's good through 2035. Now they've amended parts of it, and I'll show you some of it. But it starts off with a comprehensive plan, and then those break down into ordinances, and the ordinances are essentially zoning decisions. Not all the ordinances, of course, but in the land use section of the comprehensive plan, they talk about zoning. They have land use maps that, again, I'll have better shots of this. They'll have land use maps that describe where all the planning activities are going to be for the zones, what they want to be industrial or rural or the mix of in between. And that's the way things get started. Starts off with a comprehensive plan, then they do zoning decisions, zoning ordinances, and that's a section of the code. And then they take the zoning, they look what might be in there, and then what might be in there, how it's used, and those are called use standards. And use standards are also in the code. So for instance, I went to the use standards in rural areas, and the use standards in a rural area for an agricultural activity, 5 typewritten pages, where they talk about all the things that if you're going to operate an agricultural, have an agricultural use in an agricultural zone, these are the things that you must comply with unless you get a conditional use permit. So for instance, routine storage facilities must meet or exceed current state standards. For agricultural use in a rural area, subsection A13 says removal of abandoned routine storage facilities. Any routine storage facility that is not operated for a continuous period of 24 months will be considered abandoned and must be removed unless permission to allow it to remain is requested and granted by the county. Removal of the storage facility includes removing the storage pad, underground storage facilities, supporting the use of the pad, and any support buildings. We go from the comprehensive plan which is going to define essentially at a macro level, at a 50,000 foot level, what the county's goals and objectives are. And then they are more fully described in zoning standards, agricultural, residence, all the several different kinds of zones that we have here. And then what you do inside of that zone, for instance, in agriculture, if you are going to run a biosolids routine storage facility, that's what I was reading from. That's one of the things that you have to comply with. That's a use standard within the zone. So what these really are, this comprehensive plan, zoning, and use standards, they're tools that can be used by the county, by the applicant, by the citizens who are wondering what they can possibly do with their property and what can they do on their property. And I say they're tools because, for instance, the county administrative staff can take a look at the use standards and decide that something that the applicant has asked for is not one of the uses that's allowed. And so therefore, it's either not going to be allowed or it might be allowed with a conditional use permit. So I read you one on storing biosolids on a rural zoned area and what the use standard is for that, or one of the 5 pages of use standards. There are no use standards for data centers. So that means that the data center can build itself and all of its infrastructure, do pretty much whatever it wants. It can leave the buildings vacant forever and never have to tear them down. They'll pay taxes on them, which of course will decrease as the buildings erode and the value erodes. Or they can do really anything, because we don't have use standards for data centers. We don't have use standards for a lot of things in the 2020s that weren't available or envisionable even in some cases in 2015 when the last comprehensive plan was done. So that's why we need to take a look at use standards, and we need to take a look at the comprehensive plan. I don't think, I'd have to, the county might have a different idea. I don't think it all has to be done at once. It can be prioritized, and perhaps, we could back into some of it. We could create use standards, which is in, I think, chapter 20 of the ordinances. We could take those and work on those that were most critical. In my opinion, it's data center. There might be other things that would be appropriate. I don't know. We could work on that. At the same time, we're ginning up the effort to work on a new comprehensive plan. That's my thought beginning, because I'm just learning about all this, and it's not an easy thing for the county to keep the pedals going on this machine that they're riding as we get bigger and bigger and bigger with more people and demand for more services, demand for more facilities, demand for quicker answers, demands for modernization and change, while at the same time we're trying to maintain a sense of community and tradition that come from a long and very rich history that's made people first, and safety of the people and the sacredness of the land important. And big money is not gonna, they don't care. It's all about the quarterly profits. So I think it's important that you take a minute and write your supervisor, I'll write mine, and tell him that you would like to start working on use standards and a comprehensive plan. Not stopping the Valley Link project, however. If you want to stop a project, you can stop working on fighting your citizens for the improper implementation of the TOD. And, why is this important? Why is getting data centers out of M1 important? Why are having use standards for everything important? Well, there's a couple of things. For thing one, in my mind, is that you engage us, the Board of Supervisors engages us, the public, in coming up with the rules which we want to be governed by and which we want our land and community to exist in. That's the first thing. The second thing is, which kind of goes along with it, is the health and safety issue. The health and safety issue. And it's time to catch up. We should probably, in fact, pause. We can't do for instance, a data center moratorium because we can't do any more than the state allows us to do, and the state doesn't allow us to do moratoriums. But we could tighten up zoning requirements to have a de facto moratorium on data centers until we figure out what data centers are going to do to Goochland, what data centers are going to do to the Commonwealth. And by Goochland, I mean, what is it going to do to the people and the land? I've done some research on generators, diesel generators, and I'm going to do an episode on that early next week, because even with Tier 4, it's awful. And most of the Tier 4 generators are Tier 4, and people are putting them in because A, the state is going to require it soon, and B, Tier 4 generators are allowed to run 24/7. So if the data center can't get power, they can hook up Tier 4 generators and run them all the time until they get power, or until they build their own gas generator power plant. They can they can run them forever. They can run them forever. So that's not a good deal. And, I was driving home from Goochland today, and I drove by the old prison lot. I have heard that there's some interest from the data center people, especially the developers, in how they would get that land to be a data center. That would be a big data center, because it also has its own water. That's where Goochland Courthouse, the village, gets their water. And there's a big water tower there, and there's a water purification thing. So it's very possible that they would go. Now, it's a difficult process. There's a lot of stuff that has to go on. The prison people have to say it's excess. The state real estate manager has to agree, and then it has to go to the legislature and be approved. But those are all small hurdles for a multi-billion-dollar company. And with the grip they have on the economic wind of some of our legislators, it wouldn't be a big whoop, as they say in parts of the country, for them to get that. That's all I've got. I hope you enjoyed my video of Tucker Park. It's really a great place to go. It's in the center of the county. It's right next to the river. It's really a great place. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.